Hi, I'm Dr. David Wallace. Welcome to another episode of Conquer Stage Fright. I'm here at Avery Fisher Hall. I'm on my way home. I just sat through 4 solid hours of playing auditions of applicants who want to join our Teaching Artist Apprentice program. As you can see, it's a rainy day today, and I forgot my umbrella, but I didn't forget my video camera, so I'm going to take this opportunity to share a few more thoughts with you about how you can conquer stage fright. In some ways, a playing audition is not so removed from a standard job application in that there's a committee that's looking for the ideal person for that job, and it's your job to convince people that you are that ideal person. So as an instrumentalist, there are some non-negotiables. You got to have great intonation, great tone, great rhythm, good sense of style, and a knowledge of the music you're performing, and you have to be consistent and reliable. And so in your practice, you want to take time to be as solid on those things and anything else about your instrument as possible. In addition to having rock-solid technique, you want to bring musicianship to an audition so that your phrasing is there, your sense of expression, that you are, in some cases, exhibiting a little bit of your personality or charisma. Because today, we're not just looking for people who can play really well in orchestra, but we're looking for people who can go out into the community and engage people. Understandably, when any committee is comparing you to an imaginary ideal, there's good reason to be nervous. So let's talk about how to have a really good mental game and how to strategize with your own mind so that you're not freaked out, but that you are able to play to the best of your ability. I'm going to tell you an audition story of mine for the New York String Orchestra back in 1992. It was Alexander Schneider's last year to conduct that orchestra, and they had a tape round. At the time, I had no idea how important tape rounds were, and I had no idea that you needed to be really professional about your tape rounds and that you needed to go into a music studio hopefully to do it, or at least have someone professionally record it, that you also needed to have a pianist play with you if there were a piece that had accompaniment. I didn't know. So I went and I made a tape on a Pro Walkman, I submitted it, and guess what? It wasn't accepted. Well, I can certainly understand now why it wasn't, because, you know, it was not necessarily something that represented me professionally, and so any sort of committee in the right minds would set it aside. And I was fortunate because at the time my teacher was Karen Richer, really one of the world's great viola teachers, and she stands behind her students, and she's also someone who is a good advocate for her students. And she said, you know what, I've never had a tape rejected before, and this is weird. I'm going to call them. And she said, she's told them, this is one of the best students I've ever had, and you've never rejected a tape before. Give them a live audition, see what happens. And so, fortunately for me, they gave me a live audition. They didn't have to, and I really think it speaks very highly of Karen Richer and the quality of teacher she is and the quality of students that she has. And so I had a second chance, thank God. And I remember that morning I had a lesson before I went and took the audition. And Karen Richer said, David, you need to make their head snap back from that first note. And one of my audition pieces was Hindemith's Sonata, Opus 25, number 4. And the first note is just this powerful accent. And so I went in there, and that was my goal. And believe it or not, I played that first note. Alexander Schneider's head popped back, and he looked over at Felix Gallimere, and he had this big smile on his face. And after a while, he stopped me, and he said, do you play violin? Because I was playing and auditioning on viola, and he was a violinist who had a little bit of prejudice against violists, where like you could only be a good violist if you also played violin. And fortunately I did play violin, and I said yes. He was very good. And so that audition went well, and they actually sat me principal viola. So a couple of lessons here. One, make your tape round good. If your tape round isn't good enough to get you into the door, don't expect to get in the door. I'm fortunate that I had a good teacher to advocate. The second lesson is the attitude you bring to an audition can have a lot of impact on how the people hearing your audition respond. So I was going in there with the intent of wowing from the first note, and I ended up doing that. Had I been walking in there with the attitude of, oh man, I didn't even really pass the tape round, and I'm here as a fluke, and these guys are all critiquing me, making sure that my rhythm's perfect, my intonation's perfect, my tone is acceptable, blah, blah, blah. If my attitude were like that, well, I probably wouldn't have gotten in the orchestra, and I definitely wouldn't have been principal. So that's the lesson for you. You really want to use your attitude, use your energy to walk in there with the attitude, I'm in control of this room, and I'm going to broadcast what I love about my playing. And I think that's enough of a lesson for today. And we'll see, it looks like the rain may have slacked off a little bit, so I'm going to try to get home. So again, I'm Dr. David Wallace, and that's another tip for you to help conquer your stage fright. Practice, be as perfect as you can, but walk into the room with a positive energy and a positive attitude that says, I'm bringing it today. And I hope you enjoy coming along for the ride. Thank you. Good luck on whatever it is in your life that's your next big thing that may make you a little bit nervous. Bring the right attitude, bring the positive energy, and let me know what happens in the comments below. Thanks, everyone.